Welcome to question 3. Before we get started, none of the answers here should be considered as a memorandum. Here we figure out answers. This is a revision, but I will try to link memorandums for those where I know where the websites are. Otherwise, sometimes I really don't have the memorandum. I just get a question paper and work on it. So let's figure it out. The data below shows the percentage marks. Start over. The data below shows the percentage marks achieved by grade 12 mathematical literacy learners. The class consists of 20 learners. Now I want to show you something. You see how there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 at the top? This is not separate data. It just says right there, those are 20 learners. So they just type them there and then at the bottom type 10 more, but it's the same data. So, and then it says A is the lowest percentage mark. So there are answers that we don't have, numbers that we don't have, like A, and the ones that say B. Tell you something, if you know how to calculate range, if you know how to find a mean, you will know how to get the answers here. Okay. So use the information above to answer the questions that follow. The first thing we need to know says, state the difference between discrete data and continuous data. Well, discrete data is data that can be counted, and continuous data is data that is measured. Am I not confusing the two? My goodness, I hope I'm not confusing the two. So continuous data would be things like height. You can measure height. You can measure the length of a road. You can measure the weight of an elephant, even though it's huge. Right, so let's move on to 3.1.2. Determine the percentage of the data set that lies between the lower quartile and the upper quartile. The percentage of the data set. Okay, what they're talking about is the box whisker diagram. That's what I hope you know how to correlate the two. The box whisker diagram is like this. So when they talk about quartile, I always think of the box whisker diagram. I always think of the box whisker diagram. This is the minimum value, the maximum value, Q1, Q2, Q3. And then this part from minimum to quartile 1 is 25%. So each section is 25% of the data, 25% of the data, 25% of the data. So now in this question, they're saying, determine the percentage of the data set that lies between the lower quartile and the upper quartile. So the lower quartile is this one, and the upper quartile is that one. So they want to know what is the percentage between these two, and that is 50%. Right? It's 25 plus 25. That's the data here they're talking about, between the lower quartile and the higher quartile. Okay. So we're going to go to 3.1.3. Calculate the value of A if the range value obtained by the learners is 36. Now, these are the kind of questions I like when it comes to data handling. They've actually given us the range, and they're saying the range is 36. Right? They've given it to us. They say, here's the range is 36. And how do you calculate range? Range is equal to highest minus lowest. Now they're saying calculate the value of A, but then again, pay attention. A is the lowest number, right? So A is lowest number. I'm going to do this differently. I'm not going to answer it like how I usually answer questions. Okay, so range is equal to highest minus lowest. I'm using the range because they say they've given us the range. It said calculate the value of A. They'll say calculate the value of A, which is the missing data here. And then they'll tell you what you're supposed to use. Either they'll say the mean is, or they'll say the range is, or they'll give you both and you can figure out which one you can do. We can't calculate the value of A using the mean, even if we had the mean, because two sets are unknown, A and B. The worry is here that they haven't said if B is not the highest data. But we're going to assume that B is not the highest data, but they should have specified here that B is not the highest data, because now we need the highest data and we're not sure if B is, what number is B. But we're going to go ahead and assume that B is not the highest data. You don't have to worry in the final question paper. There's no such doubts in the final paper. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and say the highest is 92, and we do have the range. Okay, so the range is 36. See how I did that? Okay, so when you have a formula, it's always important that you identify your unknown, which means the part where they're saying calculate, or the part that you feel you need to calculate first. So here I'm calculating the lowest, which is A, and then I need the range and I need the highest data. So what, instead of range, now I'm going to write 36, because I know what 36 is. And then instead of highest data, I'm going to go ahead and find the highest data, which is 92 here. Again, remembering we're assuming it's 92, but they haven't specified because with B there, that's unknown, and we're not sure if B is not the highest, but we're just going to go ahead. And then L, I can still write lowest data, or I can write A. It's the same thing. It's going to be unknown anyway. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 92 to the other side. It's sitting here. It's positive, right? So our 92 is positive. So I'm going to take 92 and I'm going to move it to the other side. So 36 minus 92 is equal to minus A. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract these two. I lost my calculator. Got it. 36 minus 92, that gives me minus 56 is equal to A minus A. So positive A is equal to 56. How do I do that? I just divide by minus 1 on both sides, and I have A is equal to 56. Would have been nice if they arranged the data. It would have made it very clear. Okay, so next one, write down the model percentage. What is the model percentage? So I'm going to go ahead and say the answer here is 62%, because I can see there's 3 of them. 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to say that's the one, because B appears twice. Whatever number, if B is 10%, it's twice. Okay, if it's 40%, it's twice. So 62 is the third one. So why is this 3 marks? Did I just write that? I wrote that on the wrong place. That's the answer is 62% over there for 2 marks. Right, great. Now determine the value of B if the mean value obtained was by learners is 68%. So they calculated the average of this class, or the mean, and they got 68%. How do we get the mean? We say the total of the data divided by 68%. So let's first go back to A. A is actually, we calculated it, we know it's 56. So A is 56. So I always say, if you have missing values, once you calculate them, always go there and write it, so that when you use it next time, you know what it is. You don't have to keep looking for it. Okay, so we're going to calculate the mean. No, we're not going to calculate the mean. We're going to use the mean to find the missing value. Okay, so what does the formula mean? Mean is equal to total of all the data divided by total number of data. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to substitute to the formula. We have the mean, we have the number of data. We know there's 20. They've told us we can count them as well. And then the total of data. Our unknown is somewhere here, right? So our unknown is going to be written somewhere there. Okay, let's continue. And then now we're going to say mean. They said the mean here is 68. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to substitute the mean. I'm still actually getting used to my camera holder. I'm so used to having the makeshift system that I had before, where I couldn't move it. Now that I can move this, I forget that I can do that. Okay, so the mean is 68. So we have the mean there. It's 68 is equal to, and then we're going to write the total by saying 64 plus 57, all this plus A we have, it's 56, so we're going to write 56 instead of A. When we get to B, we're just going to write B because we don't know. And then we say plus, and then we're going to write B because we don't know B. Then we're going to say plus 92 plus 85. So let's do that. So that's 64 plus 57 plus 66 plus 64 plus 75 plus 80 plus B plus 92 plus 85. And then we're going to say all that divided by 20. Substitute the number of data. So I'm just going to double check my numbers and see if they are all. Oops. I'm just going to double check my numbers and see if they're all there. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Oh, okay, good. We've got 20. And then what we're going to do is, first step is I'm going to add all these numbers. And this is B plus B. There's two B's here, right? It says it for itself. So I'm going to say 68 is equal to, and then I'm going to add the numbers. I'm going to add them from here because in case I wrote one number wrong. 64 plus, so the total there is 1,189 plus, don't forget the B's, they're still there. Two of them, 2B, and then we divide that by 20. Okay. Now the next step is this adds to this. So they go together, and then all of that is divided by 20. So what we're going to do first is we're going to start with the 20, and we're going to bring it this side. I'm going to take the 20 to cross the bridge and call it this side. So what I'm asking myself, what is it doing this side? It's dividing this whole number. So I'm going to do the opposite by multiplying by 20 this side, and this 20 cancels. So I did the opposite of divide, and I said, since it's dividing by 20, I did the opposite. I said multiply by 20. When I come this side and I say multiply by 20, I like to write it on this side even though there's no space, because when there's a negative sign and all that stuff, I get confused. Okay, and then I say 68 times 20, and that is 1,360 is equal to 1,189 plus 2B. See, now it's simpler. It is simpler. Okay, then now I say 2B is sitting with 1,189, and 1,189 is positive, right? So I'm going to take it to the other side, and it's going to change the sign. So 1,3, it's going to do, it's adding, and then when it comes this side, it's going to minus, the opposite, right? So 1,360 minus 1,189. I still do this the way my maths teacher in grade 8 taught me, in grade 7 taught me, and it's so weird. I don't know. I guess since it works for me, I do it like that all the time. So you have to find a way that works for you. There are many tricks you can find on the internet. This one works for me. My grade 7 teacher taught it to me. Okay, and then we have 2B is equal to 171. Now what we're going to do is we're going to divide by 2 this side, divide by 2 this side to find the value of 1B. So 1B will be 171 divided by 2, and that is 85.5%. And the next question says determine the median of the data. Oh, determine the median of the data. Let's first write the data down. Okay, so 86 is our thingy. Let's say you haven't rounded off. It would be 85.5, and this one would be 85.5. I don't think they would penalize you for that. Be rounded. I know because I'm a teacher that you round off marks, right? So percentages for marks. But if you're not a teacher, then you might not know this, or you might not think to do it. So I'm going to go with 85.5 and see what happens. Okay, so now we have to arrange the data. What is the smallest one here? 57. Okay, 57. I am not a fan of this. 57, and then the next one will be 58. The next one would be, I hate this, 56. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, there's 20 of them. Let's just check if there's all of them. So there's 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 62 plus 62, where is it? Whoa, I can't find it. I thought it was, there it is. 64, another 64, there we go. 65, 66, 60, 71, 75, 80, 85 BB, right? Okay. Oh, there's 85. I skipped it. And then 92. Correct. All of them checked out. Okay. Now we can get those. How many? Only 3 marks. All that hard work. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And we cut that in half. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. They said we must find the median of the whole data. That would be 64 plus 64 divided by 2. And that is, you do the calculation. If you use a calculator, you'll say 64 plus 64 and you say is equal to 128. Don't be lazy. Do it like this. Divided by 2 and then you get 64 and you get your 3 marks. Okay. I'm rushing because I'm feeling my body is tired. Determine the probability as a fraction of randomly selecting a learner who obtained more than 80%. The probability of more than 80%. Let's count how many learners got more than 80%. Let's count them here. More than 80%, so not 80%. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4. They said more than 80%. So if you got 80%, we're not counting you. So here the probability of randomly selecting a learner as a fraction, selecting a learner who obtained more than 80%. Well, that's fine. That's 3.1.7. We're going to answer that. Probability is equal to possible chances divided by total chances. Okay. Probability here will say more than 80% is, I'm going to go count from my arrange. I double checked and triple checked them, so I know it's correct. Otherwise, if you know you didn't do that, then more, so that's 80%. Not going to count that. So I'm going to start from more than 81 or 80.1. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So the probability of possible chances is 4 people got more than 80%. Out of how many people? 20 people. 4 people got more than 20% out of more than 80% out of 20. Okay, and that is how we're going to leave it because the question says leave it as a fraction. We're done. And then determine the interquartile range of the data. Ooh, how many marks? 4 marks. Oh, that's a lot of work there at the end. Okay. The last question says we must calculate the interquartile range, but first we have to find Q1 and Q3. So here's our data. So what we're going to do is I'm going to use the data I used in the median. So all you have to do is to recopy it and then mark where your Q2 is and then find Q1 and Q3. In this case, I'm just going to use it here and say this is my lower half, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that will be my Q1 there, and I say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that will be my Q3 there. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to, it's fine, Q1 is equal to 60 plus 61 divided by 2, so you have to add the 2 and then you get 121, and then you divide that by 2, then you'll get 60.5, and then Q3 will be 75 plus 80 and divide that by 2, 75 plus 80, and then you say 155 divided by 2 will give you Q3, which is 77.5, and then you say interquartile range is equal to Q3, which is 77.5 minus Q2, which is 70.5, and then you get 17.